Hey, so let's talk about how to parry properly. I'm sure we know what parrying means by now. Basically, when a boss is doing something that is parryable, you'll see two set of circles around the guy. I don't think we can say it properly here. The boss is pretty fast, but you can vaguely make out two circles, the inner circle and the outer circle. The inner circle is where you want the outer circle to be. It's kind of like Osu. Yeah, so you want to match the outside when it hits the centerpiece. As you can see, it got closer. And then here, it's fully aligned. That's when you press the attack. Well, that's when you auto attack. And I think the parry timing is, half a second. But once you are eligible for parrying, you auto attack. And then time slows down for a little bit, and then the boss gets knocked back. This is the most important part. This is why you need a parry. This is the toughness bar, relatively speaking. So once the toughness bar is broken, the boss enters like a weakened state. It doesn't do anything, it just sits there until the timer goes off, and that's where you're going to be doing a lot of damage. So this is why being parrying is important. Oh, this is so much better. So two circles meets in the center. I attacked, it gets knocked, and then depletes. Also is another example of a very important mechanic. Meets in the center perfectly. This is when I'm supposed to press the attack, but I couldn't. The reason being, if you look at my character, I'm dashing. I dashed. So there was a small time of window that I couldn't attack. I was animation locked. Which also brings me to this. Every attack has their own animation and their cooldown for the animation. Not cooldown. If I want to do only the first basic attack. So this is about like the fastest I can do for the first one without triggering the second animation. So if I do a little bit too fast, that's what happens. See? Like you thought the first animation was finished. But then you press the attack again, it's the second sequence. And this could mess you up. So let's say if I needed to parry as the blade is spinning, I can't just press the normal attack. Because the animation timings are different based on what strings or what sequence your attack is on. So what I do normally is I would animation reset by dashing, so I can get like a fresh blank state. So like I know exactly when I'm attacking and when I'm able to interrupt. I also want to show you an example of why animation cancel is so important, especially when it comes to holograms, because every single millisecond matters. And you don't want the boss to catch you at a bad time where you're like animation locked. So you want to do your things before to prevent being locked. So parry, and I do my damage stuff, normal stuff. And then I wait for it to get back on its feet. And then reset. Parry, do my damage, reset. If you're too far from the boss, the game won't register you wanting to parry it. If you're too close, sometimes you miss it. But like that's only when the boss is doing like dashing stuff when you're too close. But normally it's when you're too far. If you're too far, when you're autoing, a lot of the times your character moves forward. And that might put you in the danger zone and take damage. So parry, do my damage stuff, resets, parry, damage, reset, parry. Oh, I didn't bring it up, but you get the idea. Okay, let me go back to this clip again. And now this is full speed, by the way. I slowed down the previous one. Yeah, so as you can see, it's pretty punishing if you miss time something. Again, for now, I just want you to pay attention to the double circles. And for attacks like these, it's really difficult to find the timing for the parry, and this is where experience takes over. Like low-key, I'm just timing it. I'm still watching it, but I'm 50-50ing it. I'm like 50% gauging by instinct and 50% looking at this like the top little bit of the circle. And the only reason I can parry that is because, so right here, he does that. So from experience, I know he's gonna charge at me, so my instinct is to dodge. After the dodge, because this was considered an attack from the boss, I dodged it. And by dodging the attack, time slows down. And then it makes it easier for me to dodge this one. I mean, parry this one. Also, there's more ways to parry the boss, such as QTE. Is that what's it called? The intro skills of other characters. Right now, the boss is charging up another attack. You can see the first circle forming. Right here, I could just use auto attack, but I also have my intro skill for Yang Yang. So when I switch, she does damage, which interrupts the boss. And that parries it. Also, a little side note, your character's intro skills also does damage for the toughness bar. So you want to switch in between characters if you get their intro skills. And as you can see, when I deplete the toughness bar, this is what happens. It becomes a yellow bar. It's a yellow timing bar. So this is when the boss is down. You're free to do damage. That's why breaking the toughness bar is such a crucial mechanic. So right now the boss is charging at me with the parryable attack. I could auto this, but I could also use another skill. So for a lot of the characters, especially if they're ranged, they're not gonna do like a parry. You just have to experiment. I would say it's more like logical type of parrying. So say if your character uses a gun, you can't really use a bullet to parry like an attack from the boss, you know? You have to be physically with the boss and interrupt them. Like with your body, with your fist, with your feet, whatever, with your sword. So like a bullet is not gonna parry. But for Verena, her intro skill actually goes like head on to the boss, so you can parry with that. So as you can see, when I use the intro skill, she actually hops onto the target, which makes you able to parry. Which also brings me to this. So if I just auto attack with her right now, if the boss is doing like a parryable move, it doesn't work because she's longer ranged. I'm physically not with the boss. But for her specifically, if you hold down her ult attack, she actually charges at the boss. So I was able to parry this. You can also parry with skills and ultimates. For example, right here, the boss is doing a parryable attack. I timing it, so I press my E, boom, parried. And actually, if I wasn't Yang Yang, her intro skill, she like hops mid-air to do damage first. So if the boss was like right here, somewhere a little bit below, you can actually switch the Yang Yang to her, with her intro skill and actually parry the boss mid-air. You could also parry with plunge attacks. I try to do it right here, but I couldn't do it. It's just hard to time. But if you're having trouble with the hologram boss, I will say just stand completely still just to do dodges and counters. The skills and ultimates and the summons, as well as your movement, it kind of distracts you from the core boss mechanics. So if you're having trouble, you want to get down what the boss does and when you should do counters and dodges, because there are some things for this boss at least that's super difficult to parry, so I just dodge it instead. But yeah, to sum it all up, you basically just want to play Osu in a way, just anticipate the boss, just study the boss for a little bit, you'll be fine. Also pay attention to your positioning to the boss, because you gotta be within a certain range to parry. And I really recommend you try doing the last thing that I mentioned, which is just stand completely still. Just play with your mouse. Just try to parry it and try to dodge it. You'll improve drastically, I promise you. And this boss right here, the Tempest, is a great boss to practice your counters and dodges, because it's so flashy, you know. And one more tip for this boss: have your camera locked on. You'll lose track of where he is if you don't. And so yeah, that concludes the video. I hope you learned a thing or two about parrying. It's pretty straightforward, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day or night. I will see you next time. Bye bye.